One of the artists I really admire is Alex Castro Fereirra, who is a mixed media artist and a vintage scrapbooker. If you love grunge and vintage and have not heard of Alex yet, I highly recommend you check out her website and her Instagram. I will link both in the description box under this video for you. Welcome, it's Barbara from Vienna, Austria. You can imagine how thrilled I was when I heard Alex is planning an in-person workshop right here in Vienna. I have been waiting with excitement for months and finally it's time. So in this first part of 2, I'm sharing my workshop preparations and thoughts with you. This is a workshop for creating a special altered book for our own personal story, a testimonial of our life and keeper of memories. And it's hosted by Christine in her studio, which was also the studio of last year's Art Journal Festival, which I also documented in a video, which I will also link for you below this one. I've been collecting vintage photos of random women for a while now for the purpose of one day making a journal celebrating women in general, because I think throughout history women mostly were not recognized as much as they should have been. So I just wanted to celebrate women. So when I learned about this workshop, I thought this is the perfect opportunity to do that. But the more I thought about it, I also thought, well, shouldn't I just embrace the theme of the workshop to document my ancestors? So I searched my books and I came across these two, which are extremely precious, and I will forever be thankful to my mom who has copied these for us. So these are copies of the photo albums of my grandparents. So this is the one from my grandmother, and there's even a family tree going back up until, I think the earliest one is 1824. So that's really cool to have. And you see, I have all of these amazing old photos. 1843, 1846. So they're my great-great-grandparents, which is just mind-blowing. So I'm so lucky that my mom put these together for us. I mean, how gorgeous are these? So cute. 1893 is just amazing. This is my great-grandfather. So I leafed through these books, and the more I went through these, the heavier my heart got, because of course we have 2 world wars in here. There's a lot of hardship, and it just made everything so heavy that I thought, I can't do this, because I figured I would not be able to, first of all, enjoy making the journal, but also I wouldn't want to flip through it because of this heaviness. Do you know what I mean? So same thing here. This is the one from my grandfather. I mean, look at this. How cool are these photos? Beautiful. So I put that thought aside and I thought, no, I can't do it. So then I thought, well, maybe I should do this. Then another thought came, what if I made a journal about the life of Frida Kahlo? Because I have her hanging in my craft room. I've read her biography, I've seen the movie, I'm a huge fan of her, so I thought that would be a really nice theme for a journal like this. So I was getting a little bit anxious. The workshop was coming closer and I did not know what I was going to do. There was a whole page of supplies that we have to bring, and I couldn't really work on that until I knew the subject, because I had the feeling that a lot of the materials that I would take would depend on the subject of the journal I was going to make. And then I was thinking, okay, I could probably get a lot of photos of Frida and her work online, but then there's the copyright issue and I didn't really have the time or the nerves to deal with all of that. So I thought, let me order a book and then make the decision. In the meantime, I had another thought. What if I make the journal about the greatest women in history? Women that were brave, women that discovered things, women that were just outstanding in some way. But again, that would have taken so much time to research, which I just didn't have. Although I do love the ideas. Maybe that's a theme you would like to tackle. So I thought, okay, that's not going to work. So as you can see, I was really struggling. Like I really felt anxious the last few days because I just didn't have a decision, and the workshop is tomorrow. So I knew I had to make a decision that would make me happy. So then I again went through these photo albums, and then I marked all the pages where there were photos of my parents, and specifically my mom. So this was my mom. And so I wanted to see if there were enough photos here that I could maybe use. And I found quite a few of my mom and of my parents and of their wedding. And so I thought, you know what, why don't I, so these are my parents, why don't I make a photo album of the love story between my parents? So I have photos of balls they went to and photos of when my dad visited my mom, their 3 years of dating and their marriage. So I thought, why not just take that as a theme? I thought that would be a really cute theme to have. But I couldn't make the decision until I would get the book from Frida Kahlo so that I could finally make up my mind. And before the book arrived yesterday, I was rummaging through some drawers to look for something from the list, and I came across some original photos of my parents. And this made me so happy. Of course, the quality is so much better. So I decided this is probably the way to go, but I can't make the final decision until I have the Frida book in hands to see what would spark more joy, what would seem like the right thing. So then the Frida book came, which is this one. I'll be happy to link this for you below. First of all, it's a lot smaller than I thought it would be, which I was super happy about because I thought if I'm going to make a little journal and the photos are so huge, I won't be able to use them. But this has the perfect size, and it has a lot of her quotes. It has great photos. It even has photos of her journal and some letters. So this is a really good book to make a journal out of, I think. But I think the style of the journal would have to be completely different to what we're doing in the workshop and to what I have in mind at the moment. If I make a journal about Frida, then in my opinion, it needs to be very colorful. Lots of flowers, lots of nature, and lots of color, maybe fabric, things like that. So that would be a different type of journal. And that is something I am thinking about for the future. So I'm very happy I have this book. But having this in my hands, it confirmed that it's not what I want to do for this workshop. So finally, I was able to make the decision yesterday that I'm going to tell the story of my parents dating and up until they got married. And that idea makes me super happy. So let me show you all the other things I'm taking with me. I'm getting overwhelmed just looking at the pile because it's so much. And I probably have a lot more with me than I will need. I want to have options. I was thinking of digitalizing some of these photos for you. Let me know if you would be interested in some of these. I think they're a lot of fun. Originally, I thought I was going to use this as my cover. And I still might do that. I think I'll make that decision once I'm there. But what I might do instead is take this one. I found this yesterday. This is my dad's name, and this was the company he was working for. And this was his actual notebook that he used. In the meantime, my nieces and nephews have scribbled on some of the pages, but that's fine. So I'm thinking maybe I should use this as cover. That would maybe make more sense. And the cool thing is, inside I found my dad's handwriting. This is pretty much the only handwriting I have of my dad. And I found this shorthand piece, which I'm guessing must be from my mom because I'm pretty sure my dad did not know shorthand. So I'm really, really happy to have these two. The rest of the notebook is empty, so I don't think I'll be using these pages, or maybe I'll use a couple of pages. So I need to decide which of the two covers I'm going to use. Of course, there's also quite a big size difference. The one that Alex uses is pretty close to the smaller one I have here. So let's go through the paper first. You see there's a whole lot here, much more than I'm going to need. But again, I don't really know what I'm going to use yet, so I have to take more than I think I will need. We were supposed to bring a white envelope. Since I'm not sure what for or how we're going to use it, I have a few options here. Then I just took some random things that I found in my paper stash. These I might still dye with coffee. This is a really cool vintage map of the railroad within the Austrian-Hungarian Empire. Beautiful old paper. Love the sound. Some more vintage map paper of Austria. This one I really like because it shows the mountains here, and my dad was an avid mountain climber. My parents even had their honeymoon climbing mountains. Yep, what you do for love, right? This is a vintage map of Vienna, which is where my parents moved to when I think I was 2 or 3. So this is where I currently still live. Then I have some old envelope pieces, and I have these envelopes. These are all from flea markets. I don't know these people, but they have Viennese addresses, and I thought what might be fun is to type my parents' address with my vintage typewriter and then just glue those over these. Here's a German letter from 1956, which would have been 4 years before my parents met, but I think it's close enough. I cannot read it, unfortunately. It's in the old Kurrent writing, so I will never know what it says. Some random book pages, just because I like the font. Random pieces. This is an old savings book from a Viennese bank. Look how beautiful this is. There's even some entries here. And by the way, I have this in digital form in my shop. I will link it for you below in case you're interested. Mix of random papers. I actually don't think I'll need that. Some shorthand, because my mom used to write in shorthand. Actually, I learned it as well in school for I think a year, but I forgot everything. Then we have some vintage photo pockets. This is from the war, I'm guessing Second World War, and it was paper to receive flour, so Mehl is flour in German. I also have some American ephemera here. Specifically, I tried to find some from New York because our family lived in New York for a few years. Then I have some vintage floral book pages. I actually think I'm not going to take that. I have some more images here that I really like. I have some stamped images that I received in Happy Mail. Some stamped images of my handmade stamps. Math, which always reminds me of my dad. Old documents. This here is a German wedding telegram. I wish it was from my parents, but it's not. But I thought maybe I could use half of it, this top half. It has a Viennese telephone number, so maybe I'll just pretend this was the one from my parents. Then I have some more technical papers. I found these at a secondhand store, and they also remind me of my dad. Even though he was not an architect, he's very much into all this technical drawing. Then we were asked to bring either coffee or tea-dyed watercolor paper, so I have that here. I have no idea what we're going to use this for or what sizes we need, so I have various sizes here to go with. Then I have some more German ledger paper. I have some of this in my shop as well, so I will link that for you. And I have some music sheets because my dad loved classical music. But I think I might try to reduce this stack because it seems like way too much for me. Then the list said Tim Holtz remnant rub specimens optional. I don't have those, but I have these rub-on letters. So I'm going to take those. And I also have these big chat stickers, which I thought might also be useful. Then I'm also taking this Tim Holtz tissue paper. And the list also said Tim Holtz vintage paper. I don't know if she means paper or cardstock. So what I'm taking is cardstock, scraps, and full sheets. And I also have this Tim Holtz worn wallpaper, which is really nice. We were sent a video a couple of days ago asking us to put our photos and whatever other smaller things we have, like maybe a passport, an ID, a postcard or something like that, on pieces of paper and then laser copy those front and back, because I guess we'll be dyeing those with coffee. I don't have a laser printer at home, so either I'll do that still today, or there's also the option of doing it there. There's a copy shop very close to where the workshop will be, but I'd rather have that done before I go there. Other things we had on the list were feathers. So I have a selection of some that I found myself and some that I have bought. Then we are supposed to bring a stapler, a date stamp. Then I also brought my clickable alphabet stamps, some acrylic blocks, some ink for stamping. I took 3 different colors. Double-sided tape and masking or painter's tape. I also added some washies because I hardly ever use them, and I think this might be a good opportunity to use some of those. This is just some more painter's tape, and I didn't want to take my big roll. Various tools. So it said small paintbrush. I don't know what small means, so I of course took a variety. Then I have one that I use my gel medium with. And it says scissors, but of course you can't just take one pair of scissors. I need one for fabric, I need one for paper, and I have one specifically for cutting the double-sided tape. Oh, and we were supposed to bring a hammer. I'm not sure for what, but I have this very cute one. I think this is from Sweden. I love this. So cute. And a craft knife. Okay, what do we have here? Some twine. It said kitchen twine. I think this is more of a kitchen twine, but I'm taking both just in case. This was not on the list, but I thought I would take some of my rust and eco-dyed pieces of fabric. My needle book made by my friend Maud. Wax thread. I'm taking white and black because I'm not sure yet what I will use. Some embroidery thread. So I chose a few colors. Love this pouch. I think I got this on a vacation many, many years ago in California somewhere. There's no brand on it, unfortunately. Stamps. Again, I think I might have gone overboard with these, but I want to have options. So I have a whole variety here that I can choose from. And this is the rest. So it specifically said Liquitex Matte Gel, so I'm super happy because that's what I use anyway. Then I found these old cards a couple years ago at the flea market. So I think these will work really well. So we have some from Vienna. We have some from Styria, from Graz, which is actually where I was born and also where my parents spent a lot of time. And then we have Upper Austria, and Linz is the city where my father's mother used to live. So my grandmother from my dad's side. And here's some other parts of Austria where my parents probably went hiking. Then I found this tin, which I believe was my mom's. And inside I have this old pencil, which has my mom's maiden name on it. Almost impossible to read. And I found these. My mom had a huge collection of these. And she used to hang these onto book spines. So when you have your bookshelf and you have all your books, every couple or so books, she would have these hanging from the spine. And I chose a few here that they probably would have gotten on their hikes because they are of places you would have gone for hiking. Here's some hiking boots. So maybe I can use some of this. Not sure about that. This was my dad's. I can't imagine how I'm going to use this, but yeah, maybe I want to take this anyway. I don't know. Not sure about this one yet. We were supposed to bring a matchbox. Interestingly, I don't have one, but I did find this, which is just like a little matchbox. And I believe we're going to paint these. Then the list says some organic elements like a small branch of wood, coconut leaves, eucalyptus leaves, dried flowers, etc. So I have my hydrangea petals here. And I have this tin, which has some more leaves. Some of them I bought. And these are ones that I have dried myself. I have some old tickets. Here's a couple of branches. Again, I'm not sure how these are going to be used, so I took a selection. There's even a piece of bark in here. Then we were supposed to bring some flat, rusted metal objects, so I have a bit of a selection here. Some more flea market items that I thought I could somehow incorporate. Postage stamps, book spine parts. It said glue stick. So I have a large and a small one. Then it said a strong glue. It says Alex uses Loctite. I don't really have anything like that. So I just brought two other kinds of craft glues. Then it said paint for painting the matchbox and alcohol inks. These are the only two I have, which is caramel and butterscotch, which are very, very similar in color. And this is the last one. I added some lace, which it didn't specifically say, but I think that would be nice. And of course, vintage button and some thread. Oof. It's a lot. I'm lucky because I am in Vienna, but if I had to travel from another country or another city, and I know there's some participants actually from the US coming, which is amazing, I don't know how they're going to carry all of their stuff. So what I need to do today is mount these photos and get them laser copied, or at least prepare them to get them copied tomorrow at the shop near the workshop. And I think I'll go through everything again to see what I can get rid of, because the amount of things I'm taking is just crazy. I'm super excited. I'm also very excited because my dear friend Honey is coming. Honey, the one whose journal I keep showing you from my junk journal snacks mostly. Super excited to see Honey again. And I'm sure the workshop will be a lot of fun. So hopefully I can get some footage there of some of my process. Let's see. All packed. 2 large full bags. I am excited. Mwah, mwah.
I watch you as you drive. Do you know I'm looking? And I can't help but smile. Do you know how much I love you? You put my favorite song on. I put my feet up and we just sing along. And I can't help